I just completed a manual J load calculation that was so wrong. The homeowner called me back 3 times in the first week. The unit was short cycling, humidity was through the roof, and they were ready to demand a full refund. All right, I think you know me better than that. Look, I've been doing HVAC load calcs for over 2 decades, and I've seen contractors make the same costly mistakes over and over again. Today, I'm gonna show you the 5 most common manual J errors that are costing you callbacks, killing your reputation, and eating into your profits. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to avoid and how to get your load calculations right the first time. All right, let me tell you about Mike. He's a contractor I met during an ACA training session last year. He's a smart guy, been in the business for 15 years, thought he had manual J figured out, and he landed a big job. It was a 3,500 square foot colonial that needed a complete system replacement. Mike did his calcs and installed a 4-ton unit, collected his check, and thought he was done. Just 3 days later, his phone was ringing. The homeowner was furious. The house wasn't cooling properly, the humidity was unbearable, and the electric bills were already higher than their old system. I don't know how that one happened. Mike had to go back 4 times, eventually replacing the entire unit with a 3-ton system and eating the cost difference. What went wrong? See, Mike made mistake number 1. He didn't account for the home's actual orientation and window exposure. Here's the thing about manual J calculations that most contractors get wrong. They treat every house like it's facing due south with windows on all sides getting equal sun exposure. But that's not reality. A house with a large west-facing window is going to have a completely different load than the same house facing east. Mike's colonial had massive picture windows facing west, catching the afternoon sun like a greenhouse. But his calculation software was set to the generic defaults. When you're doing your manual J, you need to make sure you notate which direction is north, or at least Google the address and use maps. Document which direction each major window faces too. West-facing windows can add up to 30% more cooling load than east-facing ones. I've seen contractors undersize systems by as much as a full ton just because they ignored window orientation. All right, mistake number 2 is even more common, and it's costing contractors thousands in callbacks. They're using generic R values instead of measuring actual insulation. I was called in to troubleshoot a system where the contractor had calculated the load based on R19 wall insulation. Sounds reasonable, right? The problem was this. That 1985 house had maybe R11 insulation that had settled and compressed over 30 years. The actual thermal performance was closer to R8. So here's what you need to do. Don't assume insulation values based on the year the house was built. Look in the attic, check behind outlet covers, use a thermal camera if you have one. I carried a simple insulation probe, which was a plastic knitting needle, that lets me check wall cavities without major damage. It takes an extra 20 minutes, but saved me from callbacks that can cost thousands. All right, the third mistake is what I call the comfort zone trap. But it's not what you think. The trap isn't using 75 degrees. It's letting customers talk you out of it. Here's the deal. Every building code, every energy code, and every HVAC standard in North America is based on 75 degrees and 50% relative humidity. This isn't some arbitrary number the software companies picked out of thin air. It's the psychrometric comfort zone that's been proven by decades of research and testing. When you look at the psychrometric chart, 75 degrees at 50% relative humidity sits right in the middle of the human comfort zone. This gives your system room for drift. Maybe the temperature goes to 76 or 77 on the hottest day of the year, or drops to 73 or 74 when it's mild outside. The system still maintains comfort. But here's where contractors get in trouble. A customer says, but I like it at 72. And the contractor thinks he's being helpful by designing to 72. The wrong move. You just oversize your AC or heat pump and set yourself up for callbacks. I learned this lesson the hard way back in 2018. I had a customer insist they wanted 72 degrees. I thought I was doing them a favor by designing their preference. The system couldn't maintain 72 on design days, and they were furious. The house would climb to 75 or 76, and suddenly I'm the guy who installed an undersized system. Here's what I should have done and what I do now. I educate the customer during the sales process. I explain that 75 degrees is the industry standard for good reason. It's what all the engineering is based on, and it's what the equipment's rated for, and it's what ensures proper dehumidification. Most importantly, a system designed for 75 will easily maintain 72 on all but the most extreme days. But a system size for 72 will struggle to maintain anything when the outdoor temperature is lower than design conditions, as it's going to short cycle due to being oversized and not remove moisture like it should. The key here is explaining this up front, not after there's been a problem. See, I tell customers your system will be designed to maintain 75 at the outdoor design temperature, which is 99% of the time. At any other time it's below this, which is 98% of the time, you can set your thermostat to whatever you want. If you want 72, no problem. You want 70, the system might actually handle it. But if I design for 72, you won't have that flexibility. So never deviate from 75 in your manual J calcs. It's not negotiable. Your job is to educate the customer on why this standard exists, not to accommodate their misconception about how HVAC systems work. Mistake number 4 is where a lot of good contractors go wrong. They nail the building material calculations, but completely mess up the ductwork load calculations. Manual J isn't just about the structure, it also accounts for duct losses, and most contractors either ignore this completely or use generic percentages. I've seen guys add 20% to their load calcs and call it good. But ductwork in an unconditioned attic in Texas is going to have a very different loss than ductwork in a conditioned basement in Maine. You need to actually calculate your duct losses based on the real conditions. Where are your ducts located? What's the temperature difference between the ductwork and the surrounding space? How well are they sealed and insulated? I use Manual D alongside Manual J for almost every ducted job. It takes longer, but it's the difference between a system that works and one that doesn't. Last year, I caught a ductwork issue that would have added almost a full ton to the required capacity. The ducts were running through an attic space that regularly hit 140 degrees in the summer. It was unvented. Without proper calculation, that system would have been fighting a losing battle. But here's the mistake that really gets me fired up, because it's completely preventable and it's destroying our industry's reputation. Contractors are using Manual J software like a black box. They plug in some numbers, hit calculate, and trust whatever comes out. I was reviewing calculations for a contractor who was having constant callback issues. His software was calculating loads that seemed reasonable, like 3 tons for a 2,000 square foot house. But when I dug into his inputs, I found he had house orientations wrong, the insulation values wrong, and he'd somehow set the indoor design temp to 78 degrees instead of 75. The software is only as good as your inputs. Garbage in equals garbage out. You need to understand what every field means and why it matters. Don't just accept default values. Question everything. Here's my process, and I know it saved me from countless callbacks. I walked the house twice. The first time, I'm just gathering information and being familiar with the layout and taking notes. Second time, I'm measuring and documenting everything. Room dimensions, window sizes and orientations, insulation levels, ductwork routing, and I take pictures. Then I sit down with my Manual J software and input every single value deliberately. I don't use defaults unless I've verified they match the actual condition. It takes me about an hour longer per job, but I can count on one hand the number of sizing-related callbacks I've had in the last 15 years. The math doesn't lie, but only if you feed it the truth. Now, there's one more big thing that separates pros from everyone else. Good contractors do Manual J calculations. Great contractors sell variable capacity equipment and understand how it changes the sizing game. Here's what most contractors don't get about variable capacity systems. Yes, they can modulate down, but they don't magically solve oversizing problems. A variable speed heat pump might ramp down to 40 or 50% capacity at some conditions, not 1 BTU per hour. You still need accurate load calcs, but here's where variable capacity gives you an edge. If your Manual J calc puts you right in between equipment sizes, like it says you need 2.3 tons, then a slightly oversized variable capacity system will maintain comfort far better than an oversized single stage or 2-stage unit. I had designed a job last year where my calc said I needed 2.5 tons, but we actually installed a 3-ton variable capacity system because that's what the equipment lineup offered. With a single stage system, that would have been a disaster. Constant short cycling and humidity problems. But the variable capacity unit just ran at lower speeds most of the time and ramped up when needed. The key is understanding your equipment's modulation range. If you're selling a system that can drop to 40% capacity, being 20% oversized isn't the end of the world. But if you're installing single stage equipment, even just 10% oversizing can cause problems. This is why I always recommend variable capacity systems when the budget allows. They give you more flexibility with sizing, better humidity control, and happy customers. But don't use them as an excuse for sloppy load calcs. The math still matters. The bottom line is this: Manual J isn't just a requirement. It's your insurance policy against callbacks. Done right, it ensures your system performs exactly as designed. Done wrong, it's the fastest way to destroy your reputation and your profit margin. Every callback costs you time, money, and credibility. The customer loses trust, they won't refer you to their neighbors, and they definitely won't use you again. In today's online review world, one bad install can cost you dozens of future jobs. But when you get Manual J right, that's when the magic can happen. The system performs flawlessly, the customer's thrilled, and you get referrals and 5-star reviews. That's the difference between surviving in this business and thriving. Thanks for joining me this week at HVAC Pro Blog, where we provide advice for residential system design, quality installation, and system diagnosis. I'll see you soon.